Joe in real life. Feeling better. Late start today. Still struggling, of course, obviously, but I am feeling better. I've been listening to Paul Conti on Andrew Huberman, 4 episodes, lengthy psychology, self-help, public-facing. Trying to think of what to call it. Just like personal psychological work. And there were a number of key insights that have helped me a great deal over the last couple of days. Well worth a listen if you're interested in something like that. Buyer beware, it's exceedingly long. And while actually they don't get into the weeds too much, there are parts that are pretty hard to follow. Even if you're familiar with the material, it can get a little dense. Now, that said, like, compare it to Andy Galpin talking about kinesiology on Andrew Huberman, the same structure, nowhere near as complex as that, which is a little ironic because it's a less complex topic. But Andy Galpin, that's another story altogether. Conti's the shit, man. Like, rarely have I taken criticism, because there are a number of things mental health wise that I'm just doing wrong. My recent relapse being a pretty pivotal key point in that argument. And he explained these problems to me in such a clear and such an inarguable way that, it's impossible not to have your feelings hurt a little bit. Anyway, what am I rambling about? If you're interested in psychology and you're perhaps looking for an avenue to take control of your own mental health and don't necessarily have the money or resources of time to invest in proper therapy or the will to vet what I think of them as grifter, but essentially ineffectual therapists, I would highly recommend Andrew Huberman's podcast with Paul Conti, 4-parter. I think it's like 14 hours. So, get a notebook. Get the show notes, for real. It's really moved the needle for me. Today, I'm going to do some kettlebell swings and get a minimum. I'm feeling a lot better and could do something more ambitious. You know what? I think I am going to do something slightly more ambitious with the kettlebell. Maybe 5 every minute on the minute for, let's see. Let's just see how long. And get my minimum up, and that's it. I'm almost ready to properly relaunch something. And I'm feeling excited and hopeful about that. My mom's dying. And it's fucking hard to get around that. And to feel like anything's worth doing when that's happening, But that's a relatable experience that a lot of people have experienced that. And it doesn't have to be your mom. It could be anyone you love and care about in your life. It's tough to stay moving when that's going on, man. And picking, like when I can't even shave without it feeling pointless, picking up a kettlebell and swinging it really feels like, you have that moment where it's like, what the fuck am I doing right now? And that's as natural as anything, So that's where I'm at, and I'm gonna do it anyway. But it doesn't feel worthy, So that's what's happening today. Stay tuned and check out Paul Conti. If you really want to, the Andrew Huberman podcast is great, but if you really want a good introduction to Paul Conti, I would listen to him on Lex Friedman. That's one of my favorite podcast interviews of all time. Paul Conti on the Lex Friedman podcast. Andrew's great, but a guy like Paul and a guy like Lex are just going to talk in a better way. You know, both of their hearts are wide open. I heard he had a great talk on Rich Roll too, and I haven't listened to that, but I bet Rich could also do it. Anyway, that's where I'm at today. Stay tuned. Today's workout actually felt pretty good, which was, well, I can't tell you what a relief that is. Not ambitious at all, just 100 kettlebell swings, 5 every minute on the minute for 20 minutes. But I felt really warm afterwards. I did some lightweight calisthenic type stuff before I got to this, and I'm just doing my daily minimum. I'm just getting 135, 170, 185, you know. Now, I had gotten quite a bit of other work done, but it was kind of nuancy, you know. I wasn't, I'm in no state to really hammer. And I know from long experience that, yeah, maybe I could have gotten away with actually hammering today, but tomorrow, if I did that tomorrow, I wouldn't. The next day, I wouldn't. A slow build, as emotionally unsatisfying as that is more sustainable. And, you know, if you disagree with that, results vary person to person, but also I've had to learn these lessons the hard way, and I'm not into repeating them. You know, Lord knows I repeated them for more than a decade. The endless cycle of showing up to the gym with a head full of steam, pushing way too hard, spending the next 6 to 8 weeks rehabbing, losing all your gains, falling into a soul-crushing depression, building back up, starting to feel good, and 3 months later, repeating the same mistake, doing that twice a year for years. Like, it's not a good pattern, man. It's a young man's game, and that's definitely a young man's pattern. These weary old bones can't take it, and I don't have the temperament for it anymore, thank God. So, but yes, I got a little workout in today. I have a nice sweat going right now. My heart rate's elevated, but I'm not destroyed. And one of the things Paul Conti talked about was recognizing the difference in yourself between an affect and like your actual emotions. And an affect is like, they're essentially feelings that happen to you. They're not feelings you identify with, nurture, and choose. But the danger is when you're having an affect, in my case, sadness, that you then identify with it and kind of end up in a romantic spiraling relationship where you revisited it over and over again on repeat. And that's what I was doing with my mom, you know, and people push all this self-help kind of ideas like, you know, journaling and whatnot. Often that, while definitely has its place and is a more healthy way of dealing with something like sadness, it often is just a sneakier way of identifying, and can cause you, now you're in a loop, but it involves a notebook too, you know? Whereas like just experiencing the unpleasantness, you know? Just giving your nervous system some time to run out of juice and stop punishing you. I gotta say, I had very low confidence in the strategy working, and I'm really shocked by how effective it's been. You know, not trying to do anything about it, just being in it, like completely passively. Anyway, this is Joe in real life. I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you all for your support. Be nice to each other out there today. Life's hard. People struggle. They don't need your help making it worse, nor mine. I'm going to strive real hard to follow that advice and do the same. I'll talk to you cats tomorrow. I love you.